Wife was unfaithful and now I'm facing separation. I just want my wife back. My apologies, but this is going to be a long post. Background: I have been married to my wife for 13 years. We have 2 children together, a 12-year-old boy and a 7-year-old girl. I have a good paying job as an Air Force contractor that I despise, and it has really drained me of my life spirit. I also have to go away for about 5 days every other month for work, and I know that causes additional strain. I know that I haven't been happy, I just didn't realize the impact it was having on those around me. I didn't have the energy to do things, I am always sore, and I complain too much. I am also a Navy reservist and have about 15 years of service. To say that I only do 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year would be a severe understatement. But I always spent time with my family. I helped out around the house, albeit probably not enough. I got a huge promotion in the Navy last year, and the training that came along with it was about 3/4 months long, where I was physically/emotionally unavailable and struggling with depression and keeping up with work, in addition to the pain in my body. I know for a fact that I pushed myself too hard and did too much at the expense of my family. There is certainly a pattern. Additionally, around a year and a half ago, my son discovered a local game store about a mile from our house and asked me to take him to it. I did, and it was awesome. There is a snack bar, arcade, retail section, and board games and card game tournaments. I am a fan of Dragon Ball, and the night we showed up, there was a Dragon Ball Super card game tournament going on. My son expressed interest, and so I decided to play with him. So I have been playing that with my son at this store every week almost since then. It was a great opportunity to bond, it was something I enjoyed, and I am pretty good at it. I fell in love with the store and the owners/employees too. I have a lot of experience and a bachelor's degree in organizational leadership, and saw a lot of room for growth and improvement in the store. I brought them up to the owner, and he made some changes which led to positive results on his end. I then started working there part-time. Working at a game store has kind of always been something that I always wanted to do. I worked approximately 7 hours a week there, and after about 6 months I realized the negative impact it was having on my home life. Work there wasn't about the money, it didn't even feel like work. There were even a couple times when my wife asked me not to go to the tournaments, and more often than not, I would say I really needed to go. I feel a lot of guilt about this. I was really unaware of the burden and feelings I was causing her to have, like I didn't want to be home. It was never about that. After working there for about 2 months, I approached the owner about my wife. She is an online business manager and has many skills that would be put to great use there. I told the owner that if he thinks I am good, my wife will blow me out of the water. So I had her apply, and she got hired on. Slight segue: my wife has always struggled with feeling like her potential was wasted. Like she needed and wanted to do more. And in anything she ever wanted to do, I supported her fully. Even through Sensi, cosmetology school, interior design school, and other things she wanted to do that didn't necessarily work out. I made it a point to never make her feel guilty and to emphasize that there are important lessons learned in these situations. You never have to wonder what if. And it is important to know when to leave something that isn't bringing you joy. There was a point where she was in between jobs and expressed interest in being a virtual assistant. She said she found a course, but that it would cost like $1,500 or so that we didn't really have. I looked her dead in the eyes and told her that if it was something she was serious about, then she should absolutely pursue it. We put the money on a credit card and she took off on it. She has built herself from a VA to a OBM and various social media and podcast manager opportunities. Even if it wouldn't have worked out, it still would have been worth it, but this really paid off. Back to the background. She works kind of whatever hours she wants there around her own schedule, and has started the store's online presence from nothing to a $50K plus a month venture. She is incredible and I loved working with her. It was also really cool having mutual work friends too. I am so proud of her and what she has done and is doing. So after a few more months of working together there, I realized the strain I was putting on her, and I told the owner that I could no longer work as much as I was. I would need to kind of work when I was available because my family and I deserve more time with each other. They understood and allowed me to work whenever I want. To be honest, intimacy has been an issue at home for years. My wife has always wanted/needed sex more than me, and I was unable and unwilling to participate as much as she wanted. I have a lot of guilt and shame around intimacy from the way I grew up, and a lot of the time I made excuses. I'm too tired, I'm too sore, but the biggest was that our kids have always slept in our bed, something that I am still working on, so that stops me from initiating anything more often than anything else. Don't get me wrong, I find my wife's sigh. I can't keep my hands off of her. I love her. She is my best friend, but this was probably the area we didn't meet up in that caused the most pain/stress. Now, on to the current situation. Toward the end of February, I think, my wife and I had an argument where she said she was basically drowning at home. This is when I decided to stop working at the game store so much. I wanted to relieve some of her stress and show her that I cared. We were making some changes around the house and I thought things were getting better for all of us, the kids included. Let me be clear, I never observed anything that I thought we couldn't work through or get over. I am aware of my weaknesses and I am constantly working to make myself and those around me better. Toward the end of March, my son and I attended a large Dragon Ball Super tournament in Louisville and really had a great time. I actually came in top 8, so that was super exciting. The next week I had to go to Niagara Falls for a work trip. Around this time, my wife and sometimes kids would go out to eat after work with our friends and coworkers from the game store. And sometimes only with one guy, who I consider to be a close friend. Let's call him Snot because I am still feeling a little petty and to protect his identity. It would appear to me during this time that my wife was finally doing the things she wanted to do and things I encouraged her to do for years. Do something she enjoys, something for herself. Leave the house and kids for a bit and have fun on her terms, or find fulfillment on her terms. I thought things were great and headed in the right direction. Also, my wife has struggled with depression for 10 years off and on and various other medical issues. She is and has been in therapy off and on, and early in our marriage we did couples counseling. While in Niagara Falls I had a lot of work and hurt my back, so I didn't communicate a lot. I was either working or sleeping. And she was busy, so she didn't either, but we spoke for a bit every day. When I returned on Friday the 8th of April we ended up having a discussion that night. We were having dinner with the kids and we got on the subject that if I found a job in Japan I should take it. I love Japan and have been there a few times. My wife knows I hate my current job and wants nothing more than for me to not be there. So we rolled that idea around for a bit and what that looked like. She just said that she is tired of not seeing me happy. I'm not the same person I used to be, and I mostly agree. I was both slightly concerned and excited. I don't want to miss out on my kids or my wife either. I could kind of feel some sort of feeling in the air. After we ate and were dealing with the dishes, my wife started to talk through things. Neither one of us was happy apparently, and we can't continue going the way we were. She said that I had to see that. I thought things were getting better, but I couldn't deny the things she was saying weren't mostly true. She said she wanted to take a break, and I reluctantly agreed, thinking that this might be what she needs to figure out what she really wants and work through things. I will do anything for her, always have, probably always will. A day or two later me, my wife, Snot, and our kids go get some Mexican food and then go to watch Sonic 2 together. Dinner was good and fun. My wife had a huge margarita, and because we drove separately and the kids asked to ride with me, I asked Snot to drive her to the theater to be safe. We get to the theater and have 5 seats in a row. I sit with a kid on both sides of me, then my wife next to a kid and Snot next to her. I just thought I would try to take the brunt of all the child interruptions and stuff. That all went well and we dropped Snot off and went home. So she begins working later at night on her own business stuff, which really wasn't that unusual. She would be downstairs on the couch with the dog just working away, and sometimes fall asleep down there. After a few nights it was about 2:30 a.m. and I need med to be up for work at 6. I just couldn't fall asleep without her in our bed. So I walked downstairs to ask her to come up if she was done working. She also has a friend/protege in her OBM business, so she often works with her. Snot's dad and brother recently died and he has had a lot of trauma with other previous relationships. He is a great guy and super good with kids, and likes all of the obscure stuff that I do too. The next Friday 15th of April my wife and her protege were going to get a hotel together and crank out a bunch of work and have fun. I was all about that. Snot was even going to come over to our house that weekend to paint eggs and have Easter with us too. When my life came crashing down. When I saw her passed out on the couch, her text messages were open on her phone. I didn't really look, assuming she fell asleep while working with her protege, but when I woke her to ask her to come to bed, she subconsciously and instinctually dove on her phone. That's when I knew deep down something wasn't right. She came upstairs to our room and went to bed super quick. My mind was racing and adrenaline was going nuts. Something wasn't right. I picked up her phone and looked at the messages. They were from Snot. There was a dick pic, a SI pic of my wife. She said, "I've never felt this way before and I forgot how much blowjobs make my jaw hurt." He said things like, "I love you, baby." I didn't read much more than that before I broke and went into our room and flipped the lights on and yelled at my wife while holding the phone, "What the duck?" I was heartbroken. My whole life came crashing down around me. Suddenly things started to make sense, my wife acting happier, taking better care of herself, etc. I thought it was because of the moves I was making, but it wasn't. Apparently while I was working in New York, Snot came over to my house and they had an affair. All these questions flooded into my mind. I asked things I didn't want to know and felt like I had to know at the same time. Did they use a condom? Did he come inside her? What if she gets pregnant? I feel like the biggest idiot in the world. My mind is still not right, really. She said it was only the one time and it wasn't great and there is immense guilt about the whole thing. So she then came clear that she wanted to separate and figure herself out. I'm still shocked that she let me go to dinner and a movie with this guy, with our kids, and was planning to have him at our house for Easter activities. I also found out that the Friday night hotel was for them to meet up, but she said she had planned on just really talking about things. I don't really know what to believe, but I am trying to trust and believe her still. I only yelled briefly, but then mostly cried. I feel like I've been crying for a month now. A lifetime of penthouse emotion has come pouring out of me. As things stand, currently we have a lot of debt and live just below our means, but also blow too much money going out to eat and such. I still love my wife and we have talked about things, and I take responsibility for the vast majority of my shortcomings and things in our relationship. That being said, I am committed/resolved to change and get better. I was unaware of the seriousness of her feelings and how she didn't feel loved. Since this happened, I have been open, honest, and extremely vulnerable. I would take her back in a heartbeat. I never wanted to do life without her. She's just not there. She wants time and space to figure herself out and what she truly feels about Snot. Let me add this about Snot. He's not well kept, has terrible breath, his only job is as the manager of the game store, and he lives in an apartment with 2 other dudes. He doesn't have a lot of responsibilities in the world or obligations. So he is always free and willing to hang out when not at work, and even at work. So it's easy for her to spend time with him, and I get it. Like until this, I really liked him and wanted to hang out with him too. Part of me still does. The past 2 weeks or so she gets the kids ready for school and then heads over to his place and hangs out/does her other job until about noon when they both go to the game store. Nothing is enjoyable anymore. I stopped playing cards, my appetite is gone, I can't play video games for more than like 10 minutes, and being at work is even more excruciating than before. I spend a lot of the workday resisting the urge to break stuff or tell people to kick rocks. I feel incredibly betrayed and taken advantage of. Like, I understand that we both decided to be good to each other if things didn't work out and be the best parents possible, but these terms are hard for me to accept. I still love her and want to be with her. I am jealous of every bit of time she spends with him. I can't even go to the game store anymore without feeling uncomfortable. There is really so much more, but I'm sure most of your eyes have glazed over by now. Thank you for reading, and I greatly appreciate any advice and/or kind words you can offer.